Welcome back, friend. I'm so glad you are here for another episode of the Happy Whole You podcast. And today I have a guest with me, Sandra Silverman. She is the author of From Bullshit to Botox, a rebel's guide of self-love and eternal youth, and an inspiring advocate for both external beauty and internal transformation. Sandra's journey combines self-love, life coaching, healing past traumas, and beauty treatments like Botox, proving that true beauty starts from within. She has over 240,000 followers on Instagram. She is passionate about empowering others to embrace a holistic approach to wellness, combining fitness, self-care, mindset, and personal growth alongside her beauty treatments. Her story resonates with many who seek to balance between the physical appearance and emotional well-being. Sandra's honest and she has a no BS approach to beauty and self-love, which offers a refreshing and relatable perspective that could resonate deeply with people. And I am confident you are going to love this conversation. She has a beautiful story of one that I feel is her finding her true self and stepping into her power and being an advocate for herself. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation with Miss Sandra Silverman. Here we go. Hey guys, Dr. Anna Marie here. Welcome back to the Happy Whole You podcast. And today I have author Sandra Silverman with me, and I'm excited to share her with you. And she has a new book out called From Bullshit to Botox, a Rebel's Guide to Self-Love. And we're going to dive into some really great things today. So Sandra, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So before we jump into some of the topics we were previously discussing, I'd love for you to just share with the audience, like, who are you? What are you up to in your life? And just the 411 on all about you.
My name is Sandra Lena Silverman. I live in Miami and I'm currently going through a divorce. I wrote From Bullshit to Botox a year ago. And during that time, I was actually in my third separation with my ex. Before the book launched, we went through our fourth separation, and now we're actually going through a divorce, which I talk about. I allude to that in the 9th chapter of this book. And then I'm actually writing my second book that will cover more of the marriage and the issues in the marriage, and also dating at now I'm 54. So when this started, I was 53, and just that entire journey as well.
So, okay, so your book, From the Bullshit to Botox, what is the bullshit? Let's get that out of the
The
way.
the bullshit to Botox. So basically, I have worked on every part of my body except for my left foot. So the book is very humorous. It talks about a lot of different surgeries that I've done, procedures, beauty treatments, and it's just written in such a way where it's very self-deprecating. It's not, the tone of the book isn't very serious, but the content is serious. I have a lot of experts that come in to also talk about the procedures and what the expectations are, what people can expect. And also, I talk about different beauty treatments. So I've tried pretty much everything. And then there's the whole holistic approach to the second part of the book as well, life coaching, peptides, reverse aging. So there's just a lot of like nonsense, but also the way that it's written, it's just sort of really funny, but at the same time, it's serious. And my plan was for women to read the book and feel empowered so they can do however many procedures that they want, as long as they're happy. They're doing it because they want to, and they look natural.
Yeah. Okay. So with the procedures that you've done, what do you feel like? When was your first procedure and what was it that you wanted to achieve? Or what did you think, okay, by doing this, then I'll feel a certain way? Or what was that like for you? What was going on within you during that time?
My first procedure was at 27. At 26, I met my ex. We were boyfriend, girlfriend. We only dated for about a month. And he looked at me straight in my face and said, "Wow, your body's really soft. You should go to the gym." That's the first time in my life that I actually felt like there was something wrong with me. major red flag, but at 26, I thought, okay, maybe he's right. Maybe I should go to the gym. But it made me feel subconsciously very insecure. My first procedure was at 27. It was a breast augmentation. And then from there, I just started doing like rhinoplasty and body sculpting and so many different procedures. And at that time, I was definitely doing them because I didn't really feel good about myself. As the years progressed, I started shifting, doing more work internally. So now I just do these things for myself and not for somebody else. And it took a long time for me to really start loving myself.
Yeah, I see that like even with myself and like I got breast implants when I was in my early 20s and it was like this idea that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't pretty enough, that I needed this to for whatever reason I didn't have the my own self-confidence. And what I found is like get having a couple kids, going into my 30s and then hitting 40s and I got my breast implants out and it was like it's interesting because I work with a lot of women and it's usually not us in the beginning that decides that, "Oh, I need this." It's like outside forces that are coming at us that, make comments, and then all of a sudden we went from being confident in who we are and secure to being like, "Wait, something's wrong with me," or, I think we've all been through that. So what was it about, like, going through that, like, with your partner? Because now you said you have separated 4 times, now you're divorced, and you said that that was a red flag, but you didn't realize it at the time. How did, like, the relationship progress? Like, what else was going on there that, women should be paying attention to? Because when we're in it, we get blind to it, right?
Absolutely. Over the years, he he insulted me a lot. So the next major insult that I remember, and I'm sure there were many in between, was during my pregnancy, I gained a lot of weight. I gained 60 pounds, and he hates fat. So he took my weight gain as an insult to him. So I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months, I at 7, 8, 9 or 8 or 9 months, I was huge, just had gained so much weight. And he would call himself a whale watcher, and I'm a pregnant person, like,
Oh
pregnant
my god.
woman, so I'm already not feeling great because I did gain so much weight because I was a very thin person before this started, and he would pickle me for what I was eating, and I couldn't help what I was craving, and yes, I could have spent more time at the gym and maybe not ate that Krispy Kreme, but it's my first pregnancy. I
Yeah.
just assumed I would lose the weight. I didn't think I would stay that size forever. But the worst comment that stuck with me, and to this day, I still remember it, after my son was born, my friend invited me to New York for the day. At this point, we lived in Maryland, and she invited me just to come up and have lunch. She knew, I was a little depressed, happy that I had my son, but depressed from the weight gain, and invited me for the day to get our eyebrows done at this new studio that she just started going to and just have lunch. So it was just a quick trip. So as I was leaving the house, he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, Ashu invited me to New York for the day. We're going to get our eyebrows done. We're going to have lunch." And he's like, "Eyebrows? I wouldn't be worried about my eyebrows if I'm that big. Nobody cares about your eyebrows. You need to go to the gym." I
Wow.
don't think to this day, I'm still not over that comment.
Yeah.
It was so beyond rude. And that's when I realized, like, wow, this person's not a good person. He's not a good guy. And now I have a newborn with him. We owned a company together. I really didn't know what to do. So as the years progressed, I definitely had resentment, and I probably have had probably made like rude comments back to him. And at that point, the marriage really wasn't that strong. For somebody to treat the other person that badly after giving them a child. And even the day that my son we were in the delivery, like, he was very rude. He wasn't helpful. He was watching the NCAA tournament. He was fighting with me in the room because I told him in advance I didn't want a C-section. Or I didn't want one, but then my son was stuck in my pelvic area for 4 hours. So I was begging for a C-section. He's fighting with the doctor. It was just such a horrible experience. Like he made the experience from the weight gain to the delivery the worst experience ever. And I definitely, I'm sure, had resentment toward him, and that came out probably in a million different ways during the marriage. But that's probably the worst, besides the first comment that he had made. And then over the years, I'm sure he had made other comments as well. But after that, I did a full body sculpting where by the time I was done 9 months later, I looked better than I did even before I got pregnant. And then he looked at me one day and was like, "Well, I just didn't I thought that you were just so far gone. I didn't have faith in you that you would lose the weight." Like, he really took it personally that I was that heavy.
Wow. So, at what point did you realize that he was like a narcissist and like,
Still, I had no idea because I was still young, and now I have a
yeah,
newborn. We own a company together. I had no
yeah,
idea this guy was a narcissist. Now I know. Like, I didn't even understand because, I'm young and
yeah,
not really paying attention. It wasn't until 2008. That's when I know for sure I should have left. At this point, we had our second child. We adopted her. So we adopted a 4-year-old, an orphan from Russia. And so at that point, both kids were really young. And 2008, I remember this so clearly. I was getting an eyelash, just getting my eyelashes done, just extensions. And I was on the bed, and all of a sudden the room started spinning and I got vertigo. And I'd never had vertigo before. They called 911, the ambulance came, they called him. I was in the hospital in the emergency room. My blood pressure had dropped. It was horrible. Like the room just spun like that. And he looked at me and with such disgust, where I knew at that moment, this isn't the person I married. I don't know who this person is. This person for sure doesn't care about me because I'm in a hospital bed, and it was such a scary experience.
yeah,
That was in 2008, and that's when I knew I should have left. Like, he was super distant sexually. He didn't want to be intimate anymore. And I remember this. I had a conversation with my father, and we were on vacation with the kids during Christmas. We were in Aruba. And I told my father what was going on. And he's like, "You have to leave. Like, emotionally, this guy isn't there. He's probably never going to treat you any better. He's devaluing you," which I still didn't understand what all of that meant.
yeah.
And I was going to leave after the trip because my parents were on board. Everybody wanted me to leave. And then my father passed away
Oh,
like suddenly. And when that happened, I never left. I stayed. Now the small young kids, he was never faithful after that. Like, I found out like years later, he showed me the signs that he was being unfaithful, and I hadn't caught him, so I didn't know. So I spent 15 years with somebody who didn't treat me well. I mean, sometimes he would, but you know how narcissists are. Like, they love bomb and then they devalue, and it was just a whole cycle. He would
yeah.
leave, then he would come back, and it just went on for so long. And then finally, this last time when he left, and it was so abrupt the way he left. He left our family vacation, left the kids. At this point, now our kids are 21 and 22 years old. Just left our vacation. We were in Idaho. We have a house there, and flew back to Miami, moved out of our house, never said goodbye to the kids. And when he did that, I was like, okay, this person is just completely out of his mind. And so I told myself if this happened again, I was going to file for a divorce and block him. So I blocked him for months and months. There was no contact. He was off with his girlfriend, on again, off again girlfriend that he actually pays to be with him. So it's one of those situations. And once that happened, he was blocked, started emailing me, trying to contact me, going through the kids, that sort of thing, like what narcissists do. Then I broke my tailbone and my wrist, and he shows up at the hospital. So I'm in a hospital bed with broken bones, and he just waltzes through the door like, "Hi." And I looked at him and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, I know that you can't leave and you can't run away from me. So I decided to come." And I told the hospital that I'm your husband because technically we're still married. So that's So that kind of stopped the no contact. And so it was kind of back and forth with the no contact a little bit. He's back and forth with the girl. And now, as of today, I told him again, I don't want contact because I mean the phone calls are excessive. I was in Panama this weekend visiting friends. He's calling me nonstop. He was in Aspen the week before with his girlfriend, calling me from the trip, and that just made me realize, wow, now he's trying to make me the mistress. Right? While he's with her, he's trying to contact me, and then it triggers me because that's what he was doing to me. So he was
Yeah.
with me and contacting her and God knows whoever else.
What advice would you give to a woman who maybe she's listening to this, maybe she is recognizing that she's with a narcissist or she's with someone and doesn't feel like she has an out? Like, what advice would you give to other women?
Especially if they have younger kids and they're worried about leaving because they don't want to break up the family, my advice would be to leave and run and never look back. And even if you're in a bad situation, I have a friend that's in a situation with a narcissist and he threatens her life. He's beaten her. He's done so many things to her. She finally left and they can communicate through an app. Like you can go through the courts, you can communicate through an app. Like even if you're scared of the person, there are other ways. Like you shouldn't stay. Like that's my biggest regret in life is not leaving in 2008 because my life would have been, not that I don't have a great life because I do, but I know my life would have been a lot better in terms of all the stress that I had, not knowing when he was going to leave again. My nervous system was always a mess. Like the anxiety that I lived with, it's just not worth it. Like it's just better just to cut the ties and go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that it hurts you to stay and it hurts you to leave, but it's like you get to pick your hurt. Which hurt are you more likely are gonna survive at the end
Yeah,
of
because you
the
can't be
day?
the best version of yourself for your kids. Like, there were so many times I was faking it. Like, I was literally going through the motions and literally faking because I didn't want my kids to really see what was going on. And I definitely think that I did the best job possible to shield them from everything. And they were really surprised when we separated a couple of years ago because a lot of things came to light with his infidelity. The person that he was seeing was posting on her Instagram highlighted stories. So you could tell like the timeline of when they met, when they started, everything that they did, this girl advertised basically.
Yeah.
And so my kids saw it. And so they finally saw like, wow, this is what our father is. This is what he would do. But all those years, I shielded them from that. So they had no idea what I was living with. And now they know and they feel so bad. They're like, please don't ever go back to him. You don't deserve this. You deserve to be happy. And so that's basically, at least I have their support to not be with him, even though, I mean, they wish that their family unit was together, but they're older now. So it's okay.
Yeah.
But even when they're younger, it's probably almost better to do it when they're younger because then they're not used to that life,
Mhm.
as a family unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably just one of those things like, it's there's no perfect way to do any of this because it's an imperfect situation,
Mhm.
you know? So where do you go from here? So now you have your book out and you've said that you're doing more inner work, working on yourself. What's
Mhm.
that like for you? What are you most excited about that you have coming up?
I'm really excited for my second book because I feel like the second book, even though the first book is great, and I feel like it's empowering to women in terms of like different procedures and looking better and feeling better and figuring out that perfect balance for you. Because with the first book, there were times where I definitely wasn't mentally balanced. And I feel like with the proper nutrition and the working out and the supplements that I take, I'm way more mentally balanced now than I ever was before. And that took a lot of time and trial and error to figure out what works for me. But I feel like the next book is going to be even more empowering for women because it is going to talk about the marriage. It's going to talk about dating. It's going to talk because a lot of women give up. They get out of their relationship, they get divorced or they separate, and then they just write off men completely. And I didn't do that. I started dating 2 weeks after we separated this time. And It's been fun. Like, yeah, I haven't met like that person yet, but it's also been 8 months. But I've been dating like numerous people here and there. I was dating somebody like more, not super serious, but for 5 months. And that really helped me get over the marriage. So I feel like a lot of people say, oh, you should wait a year before you date. I disagree. I feel like you should just jump right back into it and do whatever to make yourself feel better, to make yourself feel more confident. Cause I feel like dating somebody right away and getting that attention helps your self-confidence, especially after coming out of a relationship where maybe the person wasn't intimate with you or they were tearing you down all the time. Like you need to figure out a way to rebuild yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you like, you know how sometimes when we date the wrong guys, we keep
Mhm.
doing that?
Yeah,
So
that's the sheet too.
the wrong
Yes.
kicker, like how like what are you doing for yourself like to have the right picker this time, I guess I would say.
So I've changed my behavior so much. And I've also learned that you can't have two lions in a relationship. So I feel like in the beginning of our relationship, because we started this company together, we were always butting heads. We're two lions. And I've learned now that one person is the lion, the other person's the lioness. So I feel like I kind of shifted my mindset. So the person that I was seeing for the 5 months is younger than me. And I kind of just let him lead where I was kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll do anything. Like it doesn't really matter. Like just have fun. And we had a great time. Like even if we were just sitting in his apartment or whatever, it was fun. And something happened after we stopped seeing each other, but something happened where he was really mad at me about a few things and was like yelling at me for like 18 minutes straight. And I knew that I didn't like that and that wasn't for me. The old me would have retaliated in such a bad way, but I just listened and then I just a couple of days later told him like, look, we need a break. I don't think this is for me type of thing. The old me would have been very confrontational and retaliated. And I realized that you can't, whatever you say to somebody else, you can never take it back. So I've been very careful with him, with dating, with other people as well, where I'm a lot different now in terms because I've done so much inner work, life coaching, where a much more calm and confident person now, where I don't have to tear somebody else down. And in my relationship, I'm sure I've retaliated in such harsh ways where if he picked
Yeah.
on me, I would go crazy. I don't do that anymore. Even if the person comes toward me in a negative way, I'm not negative back. So I feel like I've grown so much that way. And I feel like that's so important with moving forward with other relationships. And I know like the right person's going to come along. I just don't think it's going to happen right now because I don't think I'm really ready because it was 27 years I was with this person. So I think I need some time. Um, more time to myself. But I'm still seeing people here and there. Like right this second, I'm not actually seeing anybody, but I'm meeting people. So that's good.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think it's beautiful how you like are recognizing like, yep, this isn't for me. And
Mhm.
you don't, I think a big thing that speaks to our character is when we recognize that we're no longer behaving as we were in the past, when we had a life in the past that was messy, right?
Mhm.
Because when we change what's going on within us, everything around us starts to change, and our outside world reflects our inside world.
Right.
And so that speaks absolute volumes. And yeah, that's why I love that you share that, you did so much inner work. Yes, your book was about like outer work and all of that, but then you dove into the inner work because I think that's where that inner work is like everything. And most often women we're not diving into that inner work until, our 40s, our 50s.
Mhm.
And it's like, gosh, if they would have taught us young ladies like some of this inner work when we were in our early 20s, I mean, maybe we wouldn't have listened. I don't know. But it would just help so much. But I'm glad you're sharing your story right now and, bringing attention to this. And I'm excited for your next book because I think
Yeah.
often we're in these relationships and we don't know what we don't know. And it's when we can actually pull ourselves back and see things from a different viewpoint that we can actually recognize things that maybe aren't as good.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited for that. Can you share with everyone um any tips for them if they're struggling, maybe they're out of that relationship with that narcissist or someone they've been with, and they're not as confident going in back in the dating scene like you are. Maybe they're just like don't know their next steps. Like, what are some things that you could give to them, some advice for like increasing their confidence?
I think first they need to understand everything that they possibly can about narcissism. And there's so much out there on Instagram and even talking to a therapist that specializes in narcissism. It took me a long time to understand what narcissism is and that I was in a relationship with a narcissist. I think once women fully understand that and they understand how the narcissist works and that they never really loved you and that it's not about you, they're just so broken from, their childhood or whatever led them to become a narcissist. Then once you have an understanding like that, I think that it's a lot better for you in terms of how you view yourself because you're understanding that it really was never about you to begin with and that you're just a victim of it basically. And I think once I learned that, that made me feel a lot better. And I have friends who were in the same situation and they've done plant-based drugs which have helped, like they've done ayahuasca, just different, not everybody will do that, but they've done, certain plant-based
Yeah.
drugs to do that as well. That's helped a lot. Um, and then maybe even actually going to a therapist, one that specializes in narcissism, so you can fully understand and heal. And some people aren't really ready to go in deep. I think the reason why I was ready this time is because we had already gone through our third separation 2 years before. And that was 5 months of hell for me. And I mourned that relationship then. So I think that's why this time it was so much easier for me. And if I hadn't gone through that, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now in terms of like mentally, I probably would still be upset. So I think those are really helpful. And just whatever you can do to make yourself feel better. And if that's a beauty treatment, if that's like a surgery, a facelift, whatever it is,
Mhm.
do it because whatever is going to help you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all get to choose our life and we get to design it however we want. And it's not up to anyone else to decide that for us. So yeah.
That's why I wanted to write that's why I wrote From Bullshit to Botox, because I've done so many procedures and I wanted people to see like, wow, there's somebody out there that's publicizing it, who's done a million of these procedures and very vocal about it. I have so many friends that keep it private. I had friends that I wanted to include in the book even anonymously and they wouldn't do it because
Oh wow.
they're embarrassed, and I just
Yeah.
wanted people to feel, like, empowered, like, "Okay, I can do the facelift or a tummy tuck or whatever it is to make myself feel better, and it's okay." Like,
Mhm.
as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, doing it for yourself, and you're going to a surgeon that's gonna make you look natural, then
Yeah.
do it. Do whatever it takes.
I'm definitely gonna be getting my facelift like in the next it'll happen in the next decade and I'm not I totally am gonna do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like I already know that's in the cards for me, but
I mean, I'm all for it. I think the younger people do that, the more natural they're going to look. And knowing what I know now, like even for younger girls, like start a facelift fund, like put money aside for it because in the end you're gonna thank yourself because it's better than going down the filler and thread track of like putting so much in your face and trying to lift that way because eventually you don't look natural. And if you do the facelift, then you're able to maintain it pretty easily moving forward.
I just know that when I like look good on the outside, I feel even more great on the inside. And I feel pretty darn good on the inside
Yeah.
very often. So
Which is great.
yeah. And I also I look at there's some studies that have been done with, there's one in particular study I was reading about, and it was where these 80-year-olds went into this house, and when they got there, it was like everything from 20 years ago. So like when they were 60. And when they got to this house, they had like all their luggage and stuff, and they thought other people were going to carry their luggage in. And they looked at them, they said, "No, you're 60 now. Like you can carry your own stuff." And so what they did is they like were in this environment of them 20 years ago, and there were pictures on the walls of them 20 years ago, and they were like taking care of themselves. And they took these people's blood when they went in, and they took their blood when they went out, and their blood markers, their blood pressure, all of their indicators reversed aging. So we know through science that the way that we look and the environment that we create around us can either age us forward, older, or it can start reverse aging. And so I think this is why it's so important too, like the people we surround ourselves by.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Taking care of ourselves, and it's really important, and there is something to that. So just a really interesting study that I was like,
Well, that is
I've
interesting.
got that in the back of my mind. So um Sandra, thank you so much for joining me today
Thank you.
on
Thank you
the
so much.
podcast.
It's been amazing.
And can you share with everyone where they can connect with you?
Yes. So they can connect with me on Instagram. It's Sandra Lena Silverman, or my website, which is sandralenasilverman.com. The book is sold on Amazon and Barnes and Noble online, and they can email me anytime or DM me on Instagram.
Awesome. And I will put all that information in the show notes. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thanks.